the Amish way, keeping food cold without refrigeration. It was early morning in Lancaster County, Pennsylvania. The sun peeked over the horizon, casting golden rays on the fields of corn and wheat. A light mist clung to the earth, and the clop of horse hooves on dirt roads broke the peaceful silence. Among the farms, the Amish community stirred, beginning their day, as they had for generations, without the modern conveniences most people take for granted. Jacob Stoltzfus, a middle-aged Amish man with a wide-brimmed straw hat and a thick brown beard, was already hard at work in his barn. Like all Amish families, Jacob's household thrived on self-sufficiency, relying on the land and their traditional ways to live in harmony with nature. One of the biggest challenges, especially during the warm summer months, was keeping food fresh without the help of modern refrigeration. Jacob's family didn't have a refrigerator humming in the kitchen. They didn't rely on electricity at all, by choice and by faith. But, as you might expect, they still needed to store perishable food like milk, butter, vegetables, and meat for their large family. Their solution was as clever as it was rooted in centuries of wisdom, passed down through the generations. This morning, Jacob's eldest son, Eli, joined him in the barn. "Papa," Eli said, wiping the sleep from his eyes, "how did people in the old days keep things cold without ice? Is it like what we do?" Jacob smiled at his son's curiosity. He had been teaching Eli the old ways, preparing him to one day manage the farm and household. Today would be another lesson, this time about their method of preserving food without modern refrigeration. "Yes, Eli," Jacob said, gesturing to a large wooden structure behind them. "We still use some of the same principles, but now, we have a few more ways than just relying on ice. Let's start with our ice house." The ice house, storing winter's chill. Jacob and Eli walked toward a low, insulated shed, almost hidden among the trees on the edge of their property. It was the Stoltzfus family's ice house. Built decades ago by Jacob's father and grandfather, it was designed to keep ice frozen throughout the summer. "You remember last winter, when we harvested the ice from the pond?" Jacob asked, opening the thick wooden door of the ice house. Eli nodded. "Yes, Papa. We cut big blocks of ice from the frozen water and brought them here." "Exactly," Jacob continued. "We packed those ice blocks in sawdust to insulate them. The sawdust prevents the ice from melting too quickly." Inside the ice house, the air was cool, even on this warm summer morning. Huge blocks of ice, buried in sawdust, sat in neat rows along the floor. The ice, cut months earlier in the coldest part of winter, had barely melted, even though it was now June. "With this ice," Jacob explained, "we can keep our dairy products, milk, cheese, and butter cool in the icebox back in the house." They returned to the kitchen, where a large wooden cabinet stood in the corner. Eli watched as his father opened it. Inside, there were shelves of neatly packed butter, cheese, and jugs of milk, all kept cold by large chunks of ice placed in a separate compartment. "Every few days, we take more ice from the ice house and replace the melting blocks here," Jacob said. "This keeps our food fresh, just like a refrigerator would, but without electricity." Eli marveled at how simple, yet effective, it was. The ice house was only one method the Amish used, but it was a vital one during the summer when fresh food would otherwise spoil quickly. "Spring houses, nature's natural cooler. Come with me," Jacob said, leading Eli out of the house and down a narrow path that led to a small stream running behind their farm. The water bubbled peacefully, clear and cold as it wound its way through the countryside. Next to the stream stood a stone building with a wooden door. "This is our spring house," Jacob said, pushing open the door. Inside, the cool air hit Eli like a refreshing breeze. The floor of the spring house was a smooth slab of stone, and running through the middle was a shallow channel where the stream flowed. "This is where we keep some of our perishables that need to stay cool, like fresh vegetables and certain cuts of meat," Jacob explained. The stream flows through the spring house, and the cold water keeps the air inside chilly. It's nature's refrigeration. Jacob knelt down beside the stone channel and pointed to wooden shelves lining the walls. Jars of preserved vegetables set alongside freshly harvested root crops, all kept cool by the temperature of the stream. In the old days, this was all people had. The cold water would preserve milk, cheese, and even butter. Today, we use it for many of the same things, and it helps keep our food fresh without electricity. Eli dipped his hand into the stream, feeling the cold water rush over his fingers. It was remarkable that the same water they drank also acted as a natural cooler for their food. The simple beauty of the spring house was in its reliance on the natural environment. Root cellars. Storing the harvest. Jacob led Eli up the hill to another hidden gem of the Stoltzfus farm, their root cellar. Tucked into the earth, the entrance was barely visible, just a wooden door set into the hillside. When Jacob opened it, a cool draft wafted out, carrying the scent of damp earth and fresh produce. Root cellars are another way we keep food from spoiling, Jacob explained. By digging underground, we take advantage of the earth's constant cool temperature, even in the summer. Eli followed his father inside, where the stone-lined walls were lined with shelves holding jars of canned tomatoes, green beans, pickles, and applesauce. Potatoes, onions, and carrots were stored in large wooden bins. The root cellar stays cool and dark, Jacob said. It's perfect for storing vegetables and canned goods. Some foods, like potatoes and apples, can last for months down here without spoiling. The cool, stable temperature of the root cellar protected the food from the heat of the summer and the freezing cold of the winter. It was another ingenious way the Amish kept their food from going bad without refrigeration. Canning and preserving. Jacob smiled as he looked around the root cellar, proud of the hard work his family put in each year. Of course, not everything we grow is eaten fresh. We also can and preserve much of our harvest, which helps it last through the winter. Jacob showed Eli rows of glass jars filled with vibrant fruits and vegetables. Canning preserves food by sealing it in airtight jars after heating, which kills any bacteria. Once sealed, these jars can be stored for months or even years. The canning process allowed the Amish to store food long after the growing season ended. It was a labor-intensive process, but it was one that ensured their family would always have food, even during the coldest months. Lessons of simplicity and sustainability. As Jacob and Eli emerged from the root cellar, the sun had risen higher in the sky, warming the earth around them. Eli wiped his brow, thinking about everything his father had taught him. The ice house, the spring house, the root cellar, and the canning. All of these methods were deeply rooted in tradition, passed down through generations. Papa, Eli said thoughtfully, do you ever wish we had a refrigerator like the Englishers? Jacob chuckled softly, shaking his head. No, Eli. Our way works just fine. It's slower, yes, but it teaches us patience and respect for the land. We don't rely on machines to keep us going. We rely on each other, our community, and the world that God has provided for us. Eli nodded. He was beginning to understand. The Amish way wasn't just about surviving without modern technology, it was about living in harmony with nature, using time-honored methods to keep food cold, and preserving the simple, sustainable lifestyle that had guided his family for generations. And as they walked back toward the house, Eli knew that these lessons would stay with him, just as they had stayed with his father, his grandfather, and all the Stoltzfus men before them.